What is up, you guys? Welcome back to the Let's Go Win podcast, where we are here to help you be happy, healthy, wealthy, and get better every single day. Today's going to be a little more, I would say, business focused, especially if you're in sales. You're going to hear some ideas that will 100% double, triple your revenue, literally doing something very, very simple. And the guest I'm going to have on, he's somebody, I got a chance to be on his show, and he's just a great guy. Todd Hartley, author of the best-selling Accelerating Yes, is a leading expert in video sales techniques. He founded Clarity.video and Wirebuzz digital marketing agency. During COVID-19, Tony Robbins hired Todd to train his sales teams, leading to massive success. Todd's tactics have helped companies win over $6 billion in revenue. That's right, $6 billion, with clients like Justin Timberlake, Home Depot, and the American Red Cross. He also trains Fortune 500 startups and solopreneurs to boost revenue with his proven methods. Well, brother, I am fired up to have you on the show. I was so grateful and humbled to be on your show. Todd, how you doing this morning? Good to see you, brother.
Oh my God, JM. We had so much fun in our last chat, and to be here on your show, so cool. Can't wait to pour into people.
Well, that's what you do, man. I mean, that is 100% very clear. I felt it when you were hosting on my show, so it's going to be awesome. I have to, this video thing, and I say that with all due respect, but you are this guy that helps with this tremendous blow up of sales through visual stimulation. Where did this come from, brother? Were you born like you just knew this is my thing, or where'd that come from?
Okay, so I grew up struggling with attention and learning disabilities, and I know the number one thing that both marketing and salespeople need to get really good at is grabbing their prospects' attention and holding it. And attention happens visually. Look no further when, and this is not directed at you, but for everybody listening, when you're at Starbucks and you're having a little cup of coffee and all of a sudden something sexy walks by, and in your brain, in like 3 seconds, your brain's like, bow, bow, chicka, bow, wow. And what happens is your brain knows it when it sees it. And yet the brain processes visual information 60,000 times faster than it does with reading. And salespeople are sending written material and emails, and they can't figure out why they aren't closing 75 or 80% of their deals. And instead they've become comfortable and they've tolerated closing 25% of their deals. So where did it come from? Not closing any deals for 11 months in 2010 when I started my agency. And JM, I was beyond frustrated. I was fragile at this point. Nobody was buying for me. I had a great idea, and the deals kept getting larger and I had more stacking up. Nobody was saying no, but they kept delaying or ghosting. And so I realized if I just got visual for them and I just taught them visually and I connected the dots and I used like a PowerPoint or a keynote slide deck on screen with me, I could teach people at an accelerated rate. And then on the same day, I sent out 3 videos. I had about $500,000 worth of deals. And back then that was a ton of money. And especially after getting no money for 11 months, I sent everybody a video from each of the 3 different companies, got a verbal from each of them, got their checks on the same day, hired staff into our dining room. And then eventually my wife kicked us out and we opened up a big ass office, and we've been growing ever since.
So I love the challenge. We no sales for 11 months. I have payroll. I'm out of my kitchen. Like life is not where we want to be. And the reason I love this is because we don't talk about this struggle as much as I feel we should. I want to dig into your brain for a second before we dive into, okay, cool. You made the visual move and boom, we explode. That's awesome. But I want to get into the inner part of where your brain was, where you're like, I mean, most people probably would have, probably folded up shop about that time, Todd, where they're like, all right, it's just not for me, man. And, the book 3 Feet from Gold is one of my favorite to give to people. I'm like, you're right there. Don't stop.
Yeah.
My question to you is, where were you? Where you were like, dude, I know I got something, but I need to persevere. How did you get the strength to continue on, brother?
Failing was harder than succeeding,
Mm.
right? And Jim Rohn has a great quote about the regrets that we deal with when trying to accomplish a goal. The first regret is the regret of the regret of I could have, should have, would have. The second one is the regret of discipline. And it's like, okay, I did it. But the discipline regret is always the one that reaps the massive rewards. Look no further than going to the gym before you go to work in the day. That is like, oh, I don't want to get up. There's regret there, but it has reward. So I knew that if I didn't persevere, I would lose my wife's faith in me. And nothing was more important than her believing and her cheering me on. And what I realized is most people can connect the dots visually, but whenever you're talking about something theoretical, whenever you're talking about something that's complex, or maybe the people you're selling to aren't experts in what you provide, which is like everybody, you got to connect the dots and do it in simplistic ways, because confusion was killing my deals, but clarity is what was required in order for people to convert.
So you mentioned something that I love, that your wife was there to cheer you on. Often I feel like this is where some people don't have that support, where you're getting your teeth kicked in and you got people at home that's like, yeah, man, you're really not bringing it together. I want to give your wife 100% kudos for staying there and saying, hey, Todd, I believe in you. I see this. And now I look at the Home Depots, Justin Timberlake, Tony Robbins. I mean, we went from kitchen table, no sales. I'm trying to paint this visually as best I can to, holy cow, we are with some of the biggest superstars in business and music. That's a heck of a journey, brother.
It is. If I wasn't so forward looking, I'm sure I would enjoy it. But yeah, I'm really fortunate that I didn't give up. And I know there are a lot of people along their path to developing their career and their business end up changing paths. But here's the problem with changing paths. You start the whole learning curve over again. And the problem with that is you aren't honoring or respecting the optimizations that have already taken place. And anytime you switch from one swim lane into another, there's a whole new set of rules and strategies that need to be developed. And I was probably just this close. My stepdad, who recently passed, was a wildly successful entrepreneur. Whenever I'd call him and complain about business, it would typically end with, do you believe that there's gold where you're headed? And I said, yeah, I do. And he goes, awesome. Then maybe you should just consider that there's a golden pony underneath all of that poop. Keep digging.
I love that.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so good. With the attention spans shrinking the way they are.
Yeah.
So I think in the last decade, we went from 12 seconds to most recently, I saw 8 seconds, and you may be more up to date on this, but I mean, it's shrinking. How do you grab people? And you are way ahead of the curve with this video sales thing, man, because yeah, we had this whole thing kind of happen called COVID, which obviously brought us into homes. You were ahead of the curve on this thing. I guess that's two questions in one. 8-second attention span. That's fast. As I'm talking, people are going in and out, in and out. How do you
let's just deal with the attention span first, because it's actually, I grew up struggling with attention disorders. I got help from experts. I got support at the University of Arizona, which has the nation's leading academic support program for students like me with attention disorders. I'm now on the board of the SALT Center at the U of A, and I spend a lot of time as a marketer hacking the world's attention for my clients, and for salespeople. But here's the deal. I don't think people are looking at the attention problem the right way. And in quiet moments with the leading experts in this that train students and help them get the best results. I pick their brain. I peel back the onion, and I think people understand attention in the wrong light. Let me phrase it this way. You just lifted up what I believe is a Marquette glass. Is that right? What is the
yes.
cup
My son goes to Marquette. Yes, a Marquette glass.
Okay,
correct.
cool. And where did you go to school?
University of Montana.
Okay, great. So if I sent you a email about college sports, are you going to read it? Probably not.
Oh, me? I'm reading because
a general one about all these different things.
Gotcha. Probably not.
Okay. What if I make it exclusively about Montana?
Oh, I'm in, brother. Any excuse. Yeah,
you're in.
I'm in.
Now, you have the same amount of attention, right?
Correct.
But it's not about attention span. It's about interest. And here's what I've discovered. And let me just unpack it, because this is where salespeople and marketers can elevate their game without the excuse of thinking their audience can't focus, which isn't true. Look no further than your couch. The next time you look at your couch and you walk into your living room, I want you to make eye contact with that butt divot where you put your tush. On average, people watch 2 hours of Netflix every night. This is not the data from a species that can't focus. This is an indicator that the species can focus if they're interested. So here's the trick. Whenever you're trying to market to people or sell to them, please know that they have selection biases. You displayed yours. Yeah, I love college sports, but I'm not going to read that whole email. But if you make it about Montana or Marquette, I'm going to friggin' read it. So whenever we make stuff, and everybody should write this down, in your marketing and your sales, when the information is generic, it's got low attention span, just like JM demonstrated. Whenever it is personalized and hyper relevant, attention span goes through the roof. Same species. Now you've commanded their attention, and it's because we have a selection bias. When I'm working with students at the U of A and I do a weekend workshops for them, my first question, like when we're having coffee in the morning, is like, so what do you do when you're not here? Like, what's exciting you? These are all kids with attention disorders. And they'll go, oh, I love to play guitar, or I like Minecraft, or whatever it is. And I will then follow up with, that's awesome. Now I know you've got an attention disorder, but do you ever find yourself when you're playing Minecraft, like not able to focus? No, never. Sometimes I forget to drink water. And I'm like, so maybe we don't have an attention disorder. Maybe we have a selection bias. How do we fool ourselves when we're the recipient in things that we aren't interested in? How do we gamify it so we can make it fun? That's the trick for the individual recipient.
All right. I love this. So I'm in, and it makes sense. So now let's talk to that sales guy or gal that is struggling. How do you go about really grabbing that attention, making sure that you are going to the interest? Because again, it's a busy world. Tons of scroll. And you're talking to the marketers that you're the expert, you're the guru. So I'm curious, I want to improve my sales. And I guess you would ask better questions like, who is your demographic? You know, what are their interests? Is that where you start, Todd? Or how do you go about, what's the process look like?
All right. So I kind of, yes to what you said, but I play on and I train teams to play on a more personal level. I want anybody representing me or anybody that I train to become the trusted advisor that is, their messages are all cloaked, are all wrapped with altruism. They're altruistically advocating, altruistically for their prospects' best interest, fighting for them. And the person that gets your interest is not the one that sends you general messages or speaks in general terms, but the one that shows up and fights for you. That's the person that separates themselves. So I teach salespeople and marketers to use what I call altruistic persuasion. I'm going to persuade you, but not for a manipulative purpose, which marketers and salespeople do all the time, and their conversion rates are very low and they can't figure out why people are buying. Instead, I use a persuasive strategy that is 100% devoted to them achieving their goals, which requires that salesperson to use their brain before they reach out. There are no reach outs that are like, hey, just checking in, JM. They don't do that. Instead, what they do is they use their brain before, which is a requirement for employment. And they say, what is it that JM is struggling with that I can support him with? And how can I advocate for his goals? First question in meeting, what are you struggling with? Define that goal, narrow it down, pin their ass down. You mean if we could solve this problem, would that be valuable to you? And they go, of course it would. Cool. Well, then give them the solution. If we solved that problem, here's the solution. I've done this for this company, this company, this company. Now you've got them in a different mindset, and all you're doing is showing up to fight for them because they have a problem that needs to be solved, and you're the world's leading expert in solving that problem.
Okay, I love it. So this may be a really basic question, but again, not a tech guy by heart or like literally.
I get it.
Yeah. So Loom video is big. Cell phone, anybody can grab their cell phone, send out the video. Production wise, brother, how much should these salespeople be putting time in? Or is it more authentic to literally grab the cell phone and say, Todd, I know your problem is X. This is, the solution that I have. What have you found to be most effective?
Okay. I like the question. And when we teach people, we want to recognize, here's what I learned at the SALT Center at the University of Arizona. The teachers that were getting the best out of students are teachers that use the dual coding theory of education, which means they're teaching verbally and visually at the same time. So while they're teaching, they're also showing while they're telling, okay? They're painting the picture. So I recommend when you are teaching people that you find some real estate on your screen, and as you teach them, you pop your information up so they can see it. In doing so, now you move people along through your step-by-step process.
Interesting. So what you did it right while we were talking. I don't know if everybody could see that, but you literally popped it up.
It's an audio podcast, right? So, and you do video. So for the people that are just listening, I put stuff up on the screen in my meetings. And after my meetings, I will follow up with a visual that they can use because I need to build a coalition, JM. I realize that in virtually 99% of sales, there is going to be on the other end somebody else you haven't met yet that you need to influence. And so by creating visual information that you can send back to your prospect, you're now winning them over.
All right. So I love that there's somebody else that I need to meet, which literally, if you were to boil down how I help businesses, referrals is a huge part of that. Now, visually, limited tech skills, limited. I have a team for that does a pretty good job, but I could certainly get better. When you're leaving them with, pardon but I'm guessing a takeaway, something that you're leaving them with, and you're hoping that they are going to spread this word, or what does that look like, brother?
Oh, but I love where you're going because you're playing the game the right way. So the most important trick is what happens after the meeting. And most salespeople are only focused on the specific meeting. But the data that LinkedIn released, which for me was a jaw drop because it exposed an invisible moment in the sales process that salespeople have never had visibility to before. And the data showed that 73% of decision makers, which is virtually everybody we're trying to influence, 73%, are going to research and evaluate you when you aren't there after the meeting. Okay. So we need to grab the friggin' bull by the horns and make sure that after the meeting, we send a quick little overview, because we know they have to build a coalition. What I mean by build a coalition, one of the 3 psychological needs that every buyer has is the need to collaborate with somebody internally. So we have to arm them to win on our behalf, altruistically, the internal collaboration moment. Now, this is where my clients closed over $6 billion last year using this strategy. Because if you can send a follow-up video with your warmth and it's personal, and every business is a little different. So I want to just say there's a lot of people that are selling the same thing every day and they're doing high volume. But if you aren't, then you can easily follow up. Let me just give you a visual. I'll put it on the screen for you. But here's what it looks like before meetings. Before meetings, you can manage their private evaluation moment and send them to a landing page with a video view on the top. The landing page is created once. You just pop in a video. Videos like, hey, JM, it was great talking with you. And for the rest of your team, my name is Todd Hartley. And the problem that JM is struggling with is this, this, and that. And here's the solution. I'm going to walk you through it. And I'm going to show you case studies of the companies just like yours that we've done this for and what their results were. Now, this is so different because these videos are 3 times more likely to be shared internally, which means you're building a coalition past the person that you've met. And instead of just having a great meeting and thinking that's good enough and going to happy hour and celebrating it up, we friggin' crushed that meeting. I got a head nod. They're excited. Instead of that, the job isn't done yet, because you know 3/4 of the people you're selling to are going to research you after, later in the evening when you're at happy hour. So if you could create that video, which how long does it take? 3 minutes, 5 minutes. Requires no production skills, no editing. You can use something like Loom, but I built my own tool, which is significantly better. After teaching people Vidyard and Loom for a decade, I built the next version. It's called clarity.video. And you can email and text these assets back to your prospect and get spy tracking info so you know when they're watching, like all this good stuff. And what you've done before the meeting or after the meeting is virtually the same. Control the evaluation, win that private meeting, do it altruistically so it never feels salesy. And then all of a sudden, all you're doing is winning. It's incredible.
Yeah, the process I like, because what you did is you shrunk the time it takes to build trust is how I heard it. Again, my simple sales mind is like, you call it coalition. I go, they actually got people to trust them, because here, you're going to go search me up. Here you go. I'm going to give it to you on a silver platter. I'm going to make your life easier. Here is just who I am.
And isn't that it? You're going to altruistically, for their best interest, make their life easier. You're going to serve them like a waiter would, anticipating their next need. And you know that somebody you're selling to, JM, they can't explain you with the level of clarity and credibility required for the collaboration to be successful. So give them the asset and make it personal. And like the analogy about Montana or Marquette, if you make it personal for them, they will go through the whole thing.
Yeah, no, it's really good, man. Obviously it's $6 billion worth in revenue last year. Good, which is awesome. Do you see this changing in the future as the world continues to be faster and faster and faster? As social media has continued to expand since the pandemic, it feels like that scroll is happening. I guess my thought or my question is, how do you include social media as part of what you're doing? Is that a factor? Is it a strategy that you're using with your clients?
Yeah, I actually train both social media strategies and sales strategies, because I think they go hand in hand. And the reason is during the vetting process, and we live in the vetting era, investigation, vetting, and people will go to your social, they'll go to LinkedIn or Instagram and see what you're about. So I teach business leaders without any skills how to create 45 pieces of social content using AI in 40 seconds, requiring no editing skills, no content creation skills. And the AI does it for them, but it's a representation of them. And it is their knowledge with support of some AI. And then they can start using that to put it out there. So when people are evaluating them, they're already seen as the rock star in the niche. And do you know the number one human bias that you have, and I have too, and so does everybody listening, is the expert is regularly seen sharing their knowledge, teaching. Like, I've never eaten any of Bobby Flay's food, but because of my number one human bias, I'm pretty sure he knows his stuff, right? So if we keep showing the world that we know our stuff, when people see it in the vetting era, and it doesn't have to take you a long time, they will, by default, give you the credibility that you already have, being the rock star in your niche.
Yeah. So just continue putting out quality knowledge, share is kind of what I'm hearing there. Brother, you've been around some pretty amazing folks. You mentioned Jim Rohn earlier. Tony Robbins, you personally worked with his team. You've spoken on stages. When you have been around those people, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you, what was some of the best, I'll say, personal development, self-development, whatever bucket you want to put it into, that you received being around some of these really, really, people that have helped millions of people around the world?
Yeah.
What did you receive where you're like, gosh, that's good. That's so damn good.
Yeah. It's, we could do a whole episode on that, because before I got into opening an agency, I ran digital at iHeart for 7 of their largest nationally syndicated talk shows. So the biggest shows in the country were clients that every day I supported. And it's the same thing that I saw with Tony Robbins and with Justin Timberlake's teams and at the biggest companies in the world. The most I learn is by watching. Tony is the most passionate. Passion is the fuel that overrides anything. All of them have passion for what they do. Passion is an essential ingredient, but they also have a perseverance muscle that is something that is worthy of admiration. I watch it. I watch what Tony, when I'm backstage, and last year I did 15 appearances for him. Still have a couple more to do this year. And I'm watching and I'm learning, but I'm also picking people's brains backstage. And one of the things that I got from Tony that has been a really important lesson for me is I was struggling with something, and the answer that I got was, well, it sounds like you're trying to figure it out on your own. Which do you have more of? Do you have more time or money? Because if you have more time, go figure it out and take your time and learn it. And candidly, I don't know if you have more time because you're not a spring chicken. You don't have an abundance of time, excuse me, but I'm willing to bet you've got more money than time. So what if you just got somebody to teach it to you, you implemented it into your organization, and then you started accelerating right away? There's a fast path and a short path, Todd. Which one do you prefer to take? And all of a sudden I was like, oh, he's right. I should just hire somebody to teach me that. And then last year I hired somebody, a coach. It cost me $35,000, and it was kind of a marketing strategy, and I'm a marketer. So I was a little embarrassed to go to my CFO and ask for 35 grand. But I turned that 35 grand into just under $1 million. That one strategy that this person taught me. And I realized the difference between the fast path and the slow path is how quickly do you want to reach your end goal? What is it worth to you? And I never think about that $35,000. I only think of the $1 million.
So good.
Right?
So good. Yeah.
And that really just happened because I was backstage and I asked the right question at the right time, right? Proximity is power.
Captured the opportunity. I love it, man. So anybody listening and they want to, whether it's clarity.video, your agency, where's the best place, Todd, for them to connect with you and say, yeah, man, I want to be part of the 6 billion in revenue. I'm in. Where do they go find you, brother?
They can find me, thank you, on social like LinkedIn or Instagram. My video selling tool is clarity.video. My website for my marketing agency is Wirebuzz. That's a done for you business. We do it for businesses of all sizes. And then I've got a speaking, coaching, sales training business, and it's toddhartley.com. And that's probably the central place where you can find all things about me. But, like you, I'm obsessed with winning. And winning requires more strategy than just brute force. Most sales is brute force, but when you start to implement strategies, all of a sudden you realize there's a massive acceleration. That gets me excited.
Well, clearly you're helping a lot of people, and I just love the message, man. It's clear, it's clean, and it makes a ton of sense. And yet I don't know anyone else that arrived at this place as quickly and succinctly as you did, man. So congrats on your success, and thank you for sharing it with everyone.
It is my pleasure. If anybody needs to win more often, and I know you guys do, let's go win, but it starts right up here in the power of your brain. Thank you for having me, Jam.
Brother, it's truly my pleasure. I mean, look, as anybody that adds winning and the word win as much as he did, I love it. You guys know, let's go win. I'm a little bit obsessed with it, but everything he said made so much damn sense. And he simplified everything. I like I said, guys, I was on his show, really, really good, but he made it even more simple being the guest. I'm like, oh man, imagine spending a little bit of time with this guy. Your sales will skyrocket. Go check him out at toddhartley.com, clarity.video, or Wirebuzz. Go check it out, you guys. This guy's awesome. Please share this with somebody. You all know somebody struggling in sales. I guarantee it. We've all been there at some point. Share this gift with them, please. And until next time, remember, your mindset matters. I appreciate y'all. We'll talk soon.